This isn't over.
What's up, good people? Welcome to Ike Motivation Stories. Now, this Friday, 1st of March, is the release of Season 4 of Blood and Water. And since it's one of my favorite shows, I decided to do a recap of Season 1 to 3 to refresh our memories, and for those who haven't seen it at all, to put you up to date so you can just jump straight into Season 4. So let's go. Season 1 begins with Poleng and her family. They're celebrating the birthday of Poleng's sister, Pume, who was stolen as a baby. Poleng's mother makes sure that the family celebrate her birthday every year because Poleng's mother is still hopeful that one day her daughter will be found. Later that day, Poleng goes to a house party with her best friend Zama. At the house party, she meets a girl named Fikile and finds out that today is also Fikile's birthday, which means
she shares the same birthday as my sister.
That's cool.
Shortly after, Poleng's father becomes a suspect in a child laundering scheme and is now suspected of being involved in Poleng's sister Pume's disappearance. Even though he assures Poleng of his innocence, he is arrested and taken into custody. Poleng then begins to suspect that Fikile, the girl she met at the house party, may be her missing sister, so she sets out to find out if this is true. She starts by convincing her parents to let her change schools and move to Parkhurst High, the same school that Fikile attends. Once she's at the school, Poleng befriends Fikile and sets about the task of stealing her DNA so that she can do a DNA test to find out if they're sisters. But Poleng and Fikile's friendship is broken up when another student, Wendy, changes an article Poleng wrote about Fikile and makes it negative. So Poleng and Fikile end up falling out because Fikile thinks that Poleng snaked her even though she didn't. Fikile goes to see her swimming coach for guidance on how to handle the negative article. He gives her some very good advice, but he's not a good guy because even though he's married, even though he's a member of staff, he's been having an affair with Fikile. Poleng convinces Wade to help her with her mission to find out if Fikile is really her sister. Poleng's father is released from police custody and the police inform the family that
they've been running an investigation on a trafficking syndicate that led them to a girl in Beaufort West. According to the description and history, they think it's Pume.
But it turns out that
The girl's DNA and your father's wasn't a match.
So Poleng continues her mission to try to find out if Fikile is her sister. But after getting into a fight with Fikile, Poleng decides to abandon her mission. However, Wade decides to continue Poleng's mission on her behalf and finds out a vital piece of information. Poleng and Fikile apologize to each other and patch things up, but shortly after, Fikile's affair with her swimming coach is exposed, and his wife comes to the school to confront Fikile.
Are you happy? Are you happy?
Ma'am, you need to leave!
I'm pregnant.
I'm sorry, I didn't
My
know.
baby's gonna be born into a broken marriage. It's sick.
Poleng continues her mission, but as she gets close to the truth, someone breaks into her house. Season 1 concludes with Fikile confronting Poleng and demanding to know why she's so obsessed with her.
Tell me the truth. All I know is that ever since we made contact, you've been sabotaging me.
Poleng then tells her that
I believe your real name is Pumelelo Kumalo, my sister.
And that brings us to the end of Season 1. Season 2 kicks off with Fikile still processing the bombshell that Poleng dropped on her. She starts seeing a therapist at school, and even though she hasn't told her parents about what Poleng told her, she takes out a protection order against Puleng.
This serves as a notice to Puleng Khumalo that an interim protection order has been processed by the court on behalf of Fikile Bele and her parents Brian and Wabusa Bele.
Fikile thinks that what Puleng told her was a lie until her dad innocently tells her that when she was a baby, she needed a blood transfusion, but both parents weren't a match. This makes her reconsider what Puleng told her. So she meets up with Puleng and tells her,
I'd like to do the DNA test.
And Puleng agrees. When Fikile gets the results of the DNA test, she takes it to Puleng so they can open and look at it together. The test results reveal
I'm not your sister.
Fikile then tells Puleng to stay away from her and her family. She considers the matter now closed. But Puleng is still not convinced
I'm not done with it yet.
and decides to continue looking for proof. Puleng convinces Wade to go with her to look for the original police detective who first investigated the case of her missing sister. They find the detective and he tells her that
I discovered your dad was going to do a paternity test once Puma was born. And I think that is why he sought to give up the child and to make some money in the process. Because he didn't believe that Tandeka was carrying his child.
this bombshell hits Puleng hard. Wade comforts her and they almost end up kissing. But they don't, which is a good thing because Puleng is dating KB. So that would have been a problem. Puleng gets an internship at a law firm that might have evidence that could help her. So she starts snooping around and finds a folder that might be crucial to the case. Meanwhile, Fikile has been getting close with a new student who also happens to be the son of her school therapist. After her grandmother visits the family, Fikile begins to suspect that something isn't quite right and begins looking into the case again. She discovers that the DNA results that she received were tampered with. She then meets up with Puleng and tells her, so they decide to look into it together. They meet up with a guy who works at the DNA company and ask him to double check the results. He agrees to do it, but only if they pay him 5K, and they agree. Fikile's therapist, who is secretly working with Fikile's parents to cover up the truth, plant drug in Puleng's locker to get her in trouble. She then recommends that
Puleng must go to rehab as soon as possible. I can make a few calls and refer you to a good one.
But before Puleng can be taken to rehab, she escapes. Wade gets into a fight with KB and kicks his ass. So KB breaks up with Puleng and makes a diss track about her.
You didn't act right, you were just a quick fix, so I kissed fix in the spotlight, on the plain sight, plain disappear with him, you a slick chick.
Puleng and Fikile go to meet the guy who has the real DNA test results, but they don't have the full 5K. So he tries to assault them, but luckily they're able to escape with the correct DNA results. They go to a bench and open the results together, and the DNA results confirm that Puleng and Fikile are indeed sisters. Puleng is excited, but Fikile tells her that she needs some time to process this news, and Puleng agrees. But when Puleng gets home, the rehab officers are waiting to take her into custody, so she tells her parents,
Pumi's alive, okay? Pumi's alive!
Fikile goes home and confronts her mother with the evidence that she's not her real daughter, and finds out that her dad knew nothing about it. Puleng and her parents inform the police about Puleng's findings. When the police turn up at Fikile's house, they're about to arrest her dad for kidnapping when her mum takes out a gun and locks herself in a room. After a tense standoff, Fikile convinces her mum to give herself up, and I say mum, I mean fake mum, to give herself up, and she's then taken into custody. The police do an official DNA test and confirm that
In the case for the paternity of Fikile Bele, we have determined that she is in fact the daughter of Tandeka Kumalo.
But
upon further analysis, we have determined that Fikile Bele is in fact not the daughter of Julius Kumalo.
Puleng's dad is not Fikile's father.
You are not.
And that's because Puleng's mother cheated on Puleng's father shortly after they got married. The police turn up at the school ball and inform Fikile that her mum has been kidnapped. So season 2 concludes with the arrival of KB's mum.
Talk to me about this little girl called Puleng.
Season 3 kicks off with Fikile meeting Puleng's family. Fikile wants answers, but Puleng's mum doesn't want to say everything right now. As a result, Fikile gets frustrated and leaves. Fikile then convinces Puleng to help her find her biological father. So they go to see Puleng's dad, and he tells them that
Your father was Tandega's client when she worked for Belmont Accounting. That's all I know.
KB's mum walks into the police station and asks to speak to the detective in charge. She tells them that she's returned to the country to clear her name. Puleng's mum confesses to her that biological father is a man called Anthony Gabisa.
Yes.
Puleng tells Fikile, so she decides to go and see him. Fikile goes to his art exhibition and meets him, but just as she's about to tell him who she is, she discovers that his sponsor is Riley Morgan. Riley Morgan is the wife of the swimming coach who Fikile was having an affair with. So Fikile gets rattled and leaves without telling Anthony who she is. Since the police have no hard evidence on KB's mum, Elizabeth, they decide to let her go, so she returns home to KB and his father. Fikile convinces Puleng to help her find her fake mum, who has been missing since the end of season 2. Fikile confronts KB with her suspicion that his mum is responsible for her fake mum's disappearance, but he rejects it.
Don't stand and act like your mom is a saint. She lied to your dad about you. She was ready to take you out to keep a secret. So why is it so far-fetched that she'd fake a disappearance?
After further investigation, they find out that a modeling agency named Horizon might be a cover for a human trafficking organization, so they plan to find out the truth by getting into the agency as models. But as they get close to the truth, Puleng's dad's car is ran off the road. It would seem that Puleng was the intended target, and even though she suffers serious injuries, her dad takes the worst of it and he ends up dying. After months of rehab, Puleng recovers and gets back to investigating the truth. She confronts KB with her belief that his mum is behind the car accident that killed her father, but again, he rejects it. Fikile approaches Anthony Gabisa and tells him,
I'm your daughter.
But before he can respond, Riley turns up and shows her displeasure at seeing Fikile, so Anthony asks her to leave because he thinks that she's a fraud. Puleng and Wade speak to a woman whose friend used to work for the Horizon modeling agency and has gone missing. Shortly after this, Puleng is kidnapped by KB's mother. Fikile manages to convince KB that his mum might be involved in Puleng's disappearance. Wade discovers that Puleng has been taken by a human trafficking syndicate and is soon to be shipped outside of the country. Puleng is locked up with a group of other girls as they await shipment. Wade, Fikile and the rest of the gang decide to go and find Puleng. While being held captive, Puleng manages to knock out one of her captors and begins her escape attempt with the rest of the captured girls. But as they are trying to escape, they end up getting captured. KB and Fikile confront his parents and end up being held at gunpoint by his mum's henchmen. A fight breaks out and KB's mum shoots Fikile, and KB's dad ends up getting shot by his mum's henchmen. His mum makes a run for it as KB cries out for help. Puleng's mum goes to see Fikile's biological father, Anthony Gabisa, and informs him that Fikile is in hospital fighting for her life and she needs a liver transplant. She's not a match, but she's hoping that he is. He refuses at first, but then agrees. It also turns out that the police detective who has been investigating this case is a crook, and he's been working against them all along. Luckily for Puleng, the police arrive just in time to stop her from being trafficked. KB's mum is apprehended along a country road as she's making her escape. Season 3 concludes with Fikile visiting Puleng's family home and having a little get-together with the family and their friends. But it would appear that the child trafficking syndicate is bigger than we originally thought, and they have big plans. So, that is the recap of season 1 to 3. Let's get into season 4. Hopefully I'll do a recap when that drops. Alright, peace. I'm out.